Welcome to Watercolors with Jaylene, and thank you so much for joining me today. So for today's project, I'm going to be painting a couple cute little butterflies. And before we get started, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. It really helps me grow, and I appreciate your support. And to get started, I want to go over the supplies list. It's very, very basic today. So we do have just a piece of watercolor paper, a number 6 round brush, my Sharpie permanent marker, and then of course my paints. And for today, I'm going to be using the turquoise blue, some emerald green. I have them kind of mixed up a little bit here because I will be putting them on, that on as one of the colors. And then also I will be using probably a little bit of the ultramarine blue, which is it's this dark color here. And then also some yellow. So, and then of course my water to clean my brush and a piece of paper towel. So let's set that aside and we'll get started. And I'll put this up here. Okay, so for today, what I'm going to be kind of working wet on wet through most of this. And so I'm going to get just a little smidge of color. Yes, smidge is a word that I use quite a bit. So just a little smidge of color on my brush because I will be putting water down to get started, but I want you to be able to see where it's at. Otherwise, I would just, if I was doing it myself, I would just use clear water. But I'm not sure how well it shows up on the video. So hopefully this will show up well for you. So what I'm doing is just kind of putting in an area for the wings of the upper butterfly. And I just kind of want to wet this a little bit. So, so now that I do have that wet, I'm going to grab some of my turquoise blue. And it's basically just putting some color on here and letting it oh, what's the word I want to say? Blend together. Kind of lost my train of thought for a minute there. So I do have a couple of, a little bit that I'm kind of messing around on the outside that is not in the wet area, and I'm doing that intentionally because I do want that sharp look. I don't want it to look like it's blending. So then just for a little bit of filler, this is the ultramarine, or no, it's not. It's the turquoise and the emerald green that I mixed together just to put a little bit of a filler color in there. And now I'm kind of cleaning my brush off a bit. And I'm going to grab some of just the plain emerald green because I do want a nice sharp green going on in here as well. And then the yellow, I do put the yellow in. I think that these butterflies anyway, it's important to have some yellow on there, a nice bright color because butterflies are nice and bright. And yellow is definitely the way to, bring out the brightness in them. See, it just kind of pops, doesn't it? And I'm kind of just dabbing it around in different areas and letting it blend with the blues and the greens. It always comes out very pretty. So that really is it for that one. And what I'm going to do is let that dry so that I can take my black Sharpie marker and go ahead and add the lines and the details and, bring the butterfly to life. So while that one's drying, we'll get started on the next one. And the next one is going to be facing the other direction. So for this one, and there again, I did put just a little bit of color on the brush so that you could see it. And I'm just kind of painting in a basic wing. That's the upper wing. This is the lower wing. A little bit of water. And on this, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to grab some of the turquoise blue and go around the edges. And then we'll be mixing in some of the other colors. If you wanted to change up your color scheme a little bit and go with some reds and oranges and drop in some yellow, maybe some magenta, that would be pretty cool too. For whatever reason, I always kind of favor my blues and greens. Usually I throw in some purple, but I'm not going to use any purple today. Purple or violet. Keeping it all more with coastal colors, really, I guess. And you can see where I'm just kind of dabbing in a little color here and there. Then I want to grab some of the yellow. Let me clean my brush off for that. Grab some of the yellow. And if you feel more comfortable, maybe drawing the butterfly first and then painting it, you could also do that. That would work fine. I actually have done it both ways. And it just depends on my mood as to which way I'm going to approach it. So now I have some ultramarine on here, and you can see how dark this is. And I'm just going to tap it into a couple of areas and let it do its thing. Not too much though, because it is quite bold. It's an absolutely gorgeous color of blue, I will say. But okay, so at this point, I do want to let these dry. I want them to be totally dry before I start with the marker, you know, and adding the details and bringing them to life. So we're going to give this just a minute to dry. And as it's drying, I just wanted to go ahead and remind you again to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And if you are enjoying this video, go ahead and hit the like button as well. Share it with your friends and family. I would really appreciate that. It helps my channel grow. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I do get back to everybody, and I love to see what you're thinking. And if you have any ideas or suggestions, I always take those into consideration as well. So this is still pretty damp, at least this bottom one. So we're going to give this just a moment to finish drying. Okay, so I think these are probably dry enough now that we can go ahead and start bringing them to life with the marker. So for the top one, I'm just going to come, and this is just kind of filling this in at the moment. And so the tail of this, you know, we want to bring it down. And when I'm doing this, I don't want to do just solid lines. I want it to be a little more sketchy looking. So for the head, I just kind of color in a oval shape. And then for the body, we do want the body to have a little bit of depth to it. So for this, I'm coloring it in very well. And then you can see for the tail of this, I did do it kind of sketchy like. Now for the antennas, just do a couple of long swoops. And now for the wings, what I'm going to do is just kind of come around, and I'm not following 100% of the paint. You know, I do want it to be a little inside, a little outside. And then I want to go ahead and do this bottom wing, because the top wing is going to meet up with the bottom wing right about there. So, you know, I kind of want to, I don't know, scribble it in, so to speak. I don't know if that's really a good word to be using, but very sketched. And so then up here, there's a couple of areas where I do want it to be a little heavier, you know, the outline of it. and then along the curve of the lower wing and the curve of the upper wing. Let me turn this a little bit. I just kind of want to put in a few little lines and then dots. Now you'll notice in a lot of my videos that I do put dots in. I think that they are great for texture. And we don't put them everywhere, obviously. I'm going to put some down here. And then on this curve of the lower wing, I just want to add a few little lines. And they can even go outside a little bit. Maybe a few there. I think I'll kind of draw in a few little squiggles there too. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this one, I think. Now we'll come down to this lower one, and it's the same thing. I just kind of want to draw in the body, and then of course the tail. And honestly, I think I need a new Sharpie. This one is getting to be a little difficult to work with. So here is my head. It just causes me more work. Okay, and then there's the body portion. And you can see, you know, the paint is not, you know, I don't stay right with the paint lines. That's why I wanted to paint it first, is because I knew when I was sketching in the accent lines that I would not stay within the paint. Okay, so then for the antennas, there again, just a couple of little swoops, and then I'm going to come up and around, bring it down to about there, and I want to stop so that I can do this bottom wing. And you can see there's a lot of paint that went outside of the wing area there, which that just kind of gives it like a real loose, informal, kind of sloppy look, which I really like, that sloppy look. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of scribble in a few accent areas, add a couple of dots down outside of the tail area. And then right here, add a couple of lines. And you can, you know, get creative and add as many or as little. I kind of like it with quite a few. I think it really adds a lot of texture. And right here, I'm going to make the line, the original outside line, just a little thicker. And right up here as well. And then just add a couple of lines through here. Now let's add some dots around for some texture. See, it's so simple and easy, and it's a lot of fun. You can make little greeting cards with these, bookmarks, or, you know, just a bunch on one big piece of paper and have a bunch of different butterflies. That'd be really cool too. So, you know, you can just have a lot of fun and get creative with it. I think I want to add just a couple of lines through here. And then, of course, I kind of get carried away with my little dots sometimes. I do know that. There, and see, with the paint on the outside, you can even add a few dots out there to add a little bit of texture too. And this line, I do want this to be just a little heavier. There. Okay, so that pretty much completes these two little butterflies, and you could see how quick and easy they are. There's no right or wrong way, just a couple of easy wings, some different colors to add to the wings of the butterfly, and then some fun lines, and, you know, just follow the outside. And it's just that simple. It really is easy. I know a lot of people say they could never do this, but you can. So just pick up a paintbrush and a marker, have fun with it, and just keep doodling and practicing. And before you know it, you're gonna stop and say, oh my gosh, that is absolutely adorable. So that is pretty much it for today. And once again, I will ask you to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And I do look forward to the next one. I try and get 2 videos out a week, so watch for my upcoming videos and be sure to check out my library for some of my previous videos. There's a lot of cool stuff there as well. So until next time, ciao for now.